If you're not muted, then please mute yourself so there can be a minimal amount of background noise. Okay, so we'll have a meditation, and then afterwards, if anyone has a question, I will try to answer it. So please try to work deeply. And all it takes is a little bit of gratitude in the heart, to open the heart and to feel that joy, that love, connection with God. So please, everyone, try to work deeply inside. I've unmuted everyone, and if anyone has a question, I'd be happy to try and answer.
I have a question, Stuart.
Yes.
When we, can you talk about tantra as it relates to the energy that we bring down through our sexual chakra, and we bring it to the base of our spine and up? But how can we use tantra in our relationships or on our own? Can you talk about that?
You mean, I'm not quite clear what the question is.
That tantric energy, we bring it through our sex chakra to the base of our spine and release it. But in a relationship, we're on our own. How do we use that tantra and let that feed us?
Well, I don't want to get into an X-rated conversation here. Look, when your system grows organically to the point where you're ready to use chakra in day-to-day relationship with somebody, it'll just happen. It's not how do I do this? It's, again, I get back to this over and over again. You have to develop a chakra system. When the chakra system gets highly developed, things like tantra, mudra, ananda, it all becomes possible. Astral traveling, higher energy, it all becomes possible. And it's that gradual development of a system inside that enables these things to just happen. There's no way I can diagram them and I can, press this button and you're going to suddenly do tantra. You have to build a system inside that will allow it to organically happen. And tantra is truly very important aspect of the spiritual process. Because as I said many times, and I guess I'll repeat it again, it's in the sexual energy that the male-female principle unites, and it gives birth to Kundalini. It's the Shiva Shakti, the Uma Maheshwara, it all unites in the sexual energy. That gives birth to Kundalini. Kundalini is our pathway to God. It's really the freedom. It opens the doors to enlightenment. So Tantra is a very important aspect of it. And Tantra can be used in meditation. It can be used in a relationship with somebody, but you've got to build a system that enables you to do it. And I think that's the key. And I cannot outline this on a blackboard or write a textbook on Tantra. I wrote a book called The Mystical Fairy Boat. There's a whole chapter on Tantra in there, but it's written in kind of a surreal, manner. It's written as, as fiction, as a novel. But, you can't do anything but work to build the kind of inner life that allows you to do it. Then it's organic. Mm-hmm. You understand? And then you're not going to use anybody badly. You're going to truly have love, and it really gives birth to that. While you're making love to somebody, it can give birth to Kundalini. But you have to have the system that is, capable of doing this. That's what I teach 7 classes a week like this, for God's sake, because I understand how important it is to build that kind of inner life. And it really takes training. It's nothing to do with ritual and nothing to do with, long beards and orange robes. And it's training the inner life of a human being. And it takes Shakti, it takes energy, it takes building that inner life over time that enables us to organically do Tantra, to do Mudra, to do, have Ananda, to have astral traveling and all these other things that evolve as a human being evolves. I mean, look, I spent 6 very intense years studying with Rudy. And he really taught me all this. Then it took 20 years to develop it. Denton, Texas, and then, 9 years in Denton, and then New York, running ashrams, or, I didn't run an ashram in a spiritual center. And it took years of inner work and building in myself to be able to develop these kinds of energies, which really taught me a great deal about spiritual growth. I mean, sexual energy is a highly repressed energy in people, and that energy has to be released. There's so many obstructions. I mean, look, Freud made millions of dollars, talking about sexual energy. I mean, it's an energy that has to be released, but it has to be released organically, not promiscuously. Doesn't mean bouncing from bed to bed and having sex every night with somebody else. That doesn't work. But organically, through a slow, gradual development of our system inside, and that energy begins to teach us about the initial unification of yin and yang, of Shiva, Shakti, male, female, which is so essential in a human being if we're going to, first of all, become a whole person. And secondly, if we're going to really, on top of being a whole person, activate Kundalini and attain a state of spiritual enlightenment. I hope that's clear. I don't know how to make it clearer,
That's helpful. Thank you.
Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
I have a question, Stuart. This is Jessica.
Yes, Jessica. Jessica, do me a favor. Next time in next class, be sure you're well lit.
Sorry.
Because I simply couldn't see you through the whole class,
Sorry, dark. Thank you.
Okay,
I will.
go ahead. What's your question?
My question is, I'm wondering if I'm working correctly in that my experience of unfolding is very external. This work feels very internal, but then I'm not having this large body response, but I do feel the world that shows up for me feels very magical and connected.
Well, because that world reflects what's going on inside you. What you see external to yourself is a mirror image of yourself. So if you're seeing magical things and loving things, it means that you're changing inside. You're really opening to be able to experience that kind of thing. The world is a very good guide. Life itself is an incredible guide to exactly what our inner condition is. And if you keep identifying with negativity and cynical things and, stuff like that, then that's what's inside you, understand? And that's what you perceive in the world. But as you grow inside, the whole external world starts changing. And it's a signal about what's really going on inside you.
Thank you, Stuart.
What we see outside ourselves is a mirror image of us. And the incredible thing is, as I always say, you got 7 billion people in the world, and all of them see a different reality. And And the hard part about this is that everybody's trying to fit everybody else into their reality. And therefore, there's all this conflict and tension that goes on in the world between people. Does anyone else have a question? You know, I just have one. I'm always interested in getting, new students and new people coming. But, excuse me a second. If you know somebody that is interested, have them get in touch with me with some manners, with some good taste. I mean, I have this guy keeps writing me that, hey, I want to try you out, I mean, it's like unbelievable, I mean, I finally wrote him an email. It's 4 emails I got from this guy already, that he wants to try me out. I hear good things about you and I like to try it out. Have people come with a little humility, with a little gratitude, a little humanity. And tell them that, because they're not going to get very far with me if I get, hey, I want to try you out in an email. Because I'm not interested, I'm interested in people that really want a spiritual life and come with humility, that come with graciousness, come with gratitude, and come to a spiritual teacher, not just some guy they meet or a person they meet in a bar, and have that kind of at least evolvement in themselves where they understand why they're going to see somebody or why they want to be part of somebody else. And then it's not only me, if they start doing that, then they start doing that with other people. And instead of being some kind of strange pain in the ass, they're able to communicate with people because there's love, there's humility, you listen to people, you learn from people. So, I'm really interested in new students. I really am. I think they bring a new energy. They bring a lot to this meditation. But if you know anyone that wants to come, just tell them to come with a little bit of humility and a little bit of gratitude and in quest of a spiritual life, that I'm not here to be tried out. It's ridiculous. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? And this kid who wants to try, he has 2 friends that come. It's in the European class, and they're doing fantastic, these 2 young men. They're really doing well. And, but they came with a level of decency and gratitude, and they're growing really well, changing their lives. I get incredible emails from them about how the meditation is affecting their lives and changing them. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, there'll be class tomorrow evening, same time. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. And again, God bless you all. Thank you for being here, for doing this, for working on yourself. There's no better offering you give to myself, to God, to Spirit, to any teacher, than sitting there and really working on yourself. And I just have a lot of gratitude to see this and to be able to be part of this and to do the kind of work that I'm doing today. So bless you. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody tomorrow, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Thank you very much.
You too, Stuart. Thank you.